For more on all of this, I want to bring in Sarah Nelson. She's the president of the Association of Flight Attendants, CWA. Sarah, you actually had two members of your union on that plane. What can you tell us about them and their conditions?
So two working flight attendants on that plane and members of the Association of Flight Attendants, and they perform their work perfectly as aviation's first responders. This is the reason that we are on the plane, is to evacuate passengers from a crash landing like this safely. And they did that, all 80 people. Now, they did their jobs perfectly. We are getting support right around them. They are okay, but it is not a normal day to land upside down and to find yourself in a position of getting everyone off of a burning aircraft. So we're going to have a lot of support around them to make sure that they are okay holistically.
Yeah, can you talk about that? Because I spoke with a survivor yesterday of this, and I mean, he was just visibly shaken. And these folks that we're talking about, the flight attendants, they're the last ones off the plane.
That's right. They do a sweep to make sure that everyone is off the plane. And that it is a difficult job, but this is what we're trained for. And I have gotten reports from hundreds of briefings following critical incidents where flight attendants say, wow, that training really kicked in. Because this is not a normal day. Aviation is the safest form of transportation in the world. And that's because of the safety professionals who are doing their work in all parts of aviation. But when this happens, that training kicks in while passengers are oftentimes in shock. And they need those strong instructions from the flight attendants in order to do what they need to do to get off the plane. And it was brought up that fire could have been much worse. That could engulf the plane in about 90 seconds. And that's why we're trained to get people off in that amount of time. And that training kicks in to get people in motion. But after the fact, then flight attendants have to put up with what they just went through.
Yeah. So, Sarah, can you tell us, because normally when we see a situation where there's had to be an emergency exit from a plane, there are inflatable slides. I don't know if that changes if the plane lands upside down, or if that's something the flight attendants actually have to manually make sure they don't go off. Can you give us some insight into that?
Well, it would depend on the aircraft. And so not all aircrafts have slide, but certainly they're not designed to work upside down. So that would not be an option for you in a situation like that. And the flight attendants would have to navigate around that. And in this case, that was not even part of the equation. So they didn't have to navigate with slides that would get in the way. But it also would not have been an option, even if those slides were to deploy with an aircraft that is upside down.
Their actions, unbelievable. What a story. We don't often get to cover them where there is an ending with everyone surviving. It's amazing. Sarah Nelson, thank you so much.
Thank you, Brianna.